Echoes darkly.
Welcome to Echoes Darkly. I am DJ Allen, and I am joined
Oh, go on.
by my co-host, Skews.
Guilty as charged, Sean Steele, aka Arcane Watcher. How's it going, everyone?
Hopefully they're all well. We only have one viewer live at the moment, and I can see her. But we'll hopefully have more.
That makes it sound so pathetic.
Hey, we got to start somewhere.
Hey, get anyone you can.
That's right. So,
Alright.
we've got a slight change of plan for tonight. Oh, this is, I should also say, this is episode 2, being recorded on July 28th, 2012.
Yeah, we're officially 2 episodes old. We're going places here.
Yes. We can have 2 candles on that birthday cake, which I won't pop up on screen.
Thank God for that. Anyways.
I was wondering about the video on the bottom of the screen here that are actually watching the video. I accidentally hit Sean earlier, so now it doesn't automatically switch to whoever's loudest if I have to manually switch it. So sorry if I'm not on the ball, because I'm a little slow and old.
We're still figuring this all out. It's nuts. But hey, you know what? That's okay, because you know what? It's happy anniversary, or not anniversary, but scheduled release week.
Yes, finally, because they pushed it from the 15th to the 19th, and the 19th to the 23rd, and then I think it actually came out on the 23rd. Am I right?
Yeah, it came out. I think it came out the 23rd, 24th. No, it was the 23rd. It came out on Sunday of this week. So, after pushing off for so long, aka a week, we finally got it. We finally got it, and there is a ton of goodies here for fans of the World of Darkness and White Wolf in general. There's a lot of stuff in here for Exalted fans as well. They didn't talk about what they had for Scion fans, but apparently that's still in the works. But there's a lot of goodies. Old World of Darkness, New World of Darkness being our main focus here. So.
Yes. And also what I was going to say earlier before I cut myself off was that the scheduling changes, we're not going to talk about the World of Darkness topic we decided on last time. We're going to talk about the news specifically so that we're getting something out of the way here while we're testing out our broadcast. So,
yeah.
Tuning in for that, sorry, we don't mean to switch it on you.
We do apologize on that. It's just a year's worth of material, and particularly some of the guns they pulled out in this one, it's going to take well over 45 minutes, and that's what we shoot for. So.
Well, I think we should get started, and of the list, just overview-wise so that I can give a general feeling about the whole thing myself here. I'm impressed that it's not, I don't think it's heavy on one particular item like has been White Wolf in the past. You know, in the past they've done like a whole bunch of vampire, a little bit less werewolf, and as you go down the lines you have less and less, but this one seems fairly even through the boards.
Yeah, now that you mention it, this is actually as a fairly varied list. I've seen that exact same thing where it's like 1 year all werewolf stuff, 1 year all vampire stuff. There was, I think the last year was, the last year I could think of continued that same line with mage. But this has vampire, it has mummy, it has not really, it has vampire for new and old world. They have old world werewolf. They have the normal World of Darkness. They've got all this sort of stuff, and it is a great even spread. So, yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. I'm babbling. I'm going to shut up.
That's fine. And another thing, my computer is now backing up my time machine is working because I have an Apple. So my time machine is backing up. So now I understand why my video is a little bit choppy. Hopefully it's not choppy for the live people.
Probably going to be, but it'll work out.
No, Trish says it's not choppy. Trish is the wife, in case most of you didn't catch that. But
she's our experimental viewer and gracious host.
And still our only viewer at this point in time. But let's get started. Why don't you go ahead and start on the top, and we'll,
All right.
we'll opinionate as we go.
Okay, well, starting off, we have the Vampire Requiem novel, Silent Knife, which is about 300 plus pages. Now, they did the first part of this on the website, and I think if you look up Silent Knife, Vampire Requiem, you should still be able to find it. I haven't checked this personally, but go online, Google Silent Knife and Vampire Requiem. You should be able to find it. I did not actually read the preview when it first came out. I did not read the first 5 pages because at that time I was still very much not interested in vampire. But if it's anything like the book that came out before it, Strangeness in the Proportion, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to blow your mind. So, also...
Now, didn't they release the whole book on the website and then say that they were going to put it out in a physical form so that you could buy it, or am I just wrong with it? Is it just the first part?
For Strangeness, they did the entire book, and then they released this. For Silent Knife, I never saw anything past the 5th part. The entire thing might be on the internet, or maybe it's just those 5 parts. I don't know. Like I said, I did not keep up with Silent Knife while it was coming out a year ago on the internet. But, that's...
As far as fiction goes, I enjoy White Wolf stuff. My favorite thing was the Masquerade of the Red Death trilogy. Having now read it for a 3rd or 4th time, I'm starting to see more and more holes, but I like the general story of it, and I like the original Clan novels, but those are the only books I've read other than the last book, the big thing at the end, Gehenna. The Gehenna.
Oh yeah, the Gehenna source book, which I don't know how that one worked, but I thought that was more just a detailing of, okay, here's what's going to happen. Here's how you can run this if you want to play it out.
Well, there's an actual novel too, and I yeah, and it's pretty good. Well, I think it's pretty good. I was trying to read it to the missus, and she didn't quite have she was bored.
Well, fiction writing of this sort, game tie-ins and all that such, are very hard to get across right. We've seen plenty of times where people try to get it right with Halo, with StarCraft, with all those actual games. And we've seen it with other RPGs, like the Dragonlance series. I understood Dragonlance started off real strong, but these days it sucks, something like that. I'm pretty sure hardcore Dragonlance fans now want to kill me, but that's fine. But, so, as game fictions go, for role-playing games, I don't have the greatest amount of experience. Strangeness in the Proportion is really my only one. But that said, Strangeness in the Proportion blew my socks off. So, I have high hopes for Silent Knife, even though I didn't read it. So, not much to say on that.
Is Strangeness in Proportion, is that one of the 3 that originally came out with like the blood marriage and...
No, that was a couple of years ago. That was when they started off the new Vampire.
Yeah.
Strangeness in the Proportion is the novel by Joshua Allen Deutsch. I'm pretty sure I'm saying his last name wrong. I hope he'll forgive me. And came out 2011. And do we really want to talk about what that story was about, or can we just settle with it's phenomenal, go read it, go buy it, get your friends to read it, and have them wonder what the hell is wrong with you?
I'm going to go with that second one. I can look it up when we're not on air, because we shouldn't be tangential this time as bad.
Yeah, we've got a huge list of things to go through. You see why we're dedicating the entire show to this.
Absolutely. So go with the next one.
Next one is Vampire Requiem Blood Sorcery, which has been put off for the last year for about half a year, actually. We knew about it from the last yearly announcement, and it hasn't quite come out. But this time we have a lot more details. Russell Bailey has told us that the art for Blood Sorcery, Sacraments, and Blasphemies is all in. It's currently going through the approval process at CCP. And he's even given us a nifty little heads up on what we can find in there. So I'll just go through that real quick.
Wait, and just to preempt it here, is this like a thaumaturgy Kruak thing, or is this something more generic?
I've heard. I know he talked about it I know Russell Bailey, the developer for Vampire, talked about this in the thread. I didn't record the part, though, where he clarified on that. I just recorded the part where he talks about what's in the book. So, I think it functions in a similar fashion in that it does give you a lot of flexibility, though.
Okay.
Alright. And, hey, it says that first item right there is a new system for freeform Theban sorcery and Kruak rituals, which could also be used to cover the various minor branches of sorcery. So, yes, it allows you to be more freeform, do things more on the fly. It's like creative thaumaturgy from Mage the Awakening. Or, well, I shouldn't say it's like it because we don't know, but it's in that same vein. This allows you to create blood sorcery rituals more or less on the fly if you need to, if I'm interpreting that correctly.
Do they use thaumaturgy in the new Mage? I mean, is thaumaturgy a thing there?
Yes, it is.
Because thaumaturgy is what the Tremere use in Vampire the Masquerade.
Okay, not that thaumaturgy. No, they don't use the term the exact same way.
Okay. Yes.
All right. There's that generation gap again. All right. So we also have the Serenades, or whatever those are. It's weird. But these sacrifice-based charms that build on disciplines and can be learned by any character, which sounds like a really open door to me. I mean, that part of it can be learned by any character, does that mean just anyone in the vampires, or does that mean that blood sorcery can be applied to mortals or to other or supernatural types? I hope they keep it just vampire, but there's a lot of possibilities if they do let it be open. But certainly opens the door for Carfians and Invictus, who don't do the blood sorcery thing.
Well, in the Masquerade system, I believe that ghouls could also use it because of their being ghoul. They can burn blood. Maybe, I think.
Vampire is not my strong point, so I don't know if they can do that. I know they have disciplines and VTR, but I don't know if you could inherit something like the blood sorcery aspect. So maybe this is something that they'll cover in here. They do talk about how there are going to be new occult antagonists, from mortal magicians to kindred sorcerers and stranger things still. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw a ghoul take on blood sorcery. It would be a kind of a natural follow-up to what the attitude about ghouls is in Requiem. So.
Okay. And I've found that, and just as an aside, I've found that most players that I have run into don't like ghouls because they find that they're a waste of time. However, ghouls seem to be important to me in order to get things done, like making money and making sure you're not being staked during the day or protected during the day, and making sure they run your stuff during the day. But most people think ghouls are a waste of time.
There may be a mechanical aspect to that I'm not aware of, but to me it's, you have someone who has the almost vampiric powers, but still more, in certain ways enslaved to you, can run around during the daytime. It's a good servant to have, and I think wise vampires would be able to employ them very creatively. But that said, like I said, vampire is my weakest in terms of knowledge and application. So maybe there's something to the ghouls, I don't know. I personally think if you're playing that sort of vampire, ghouls are going to be very invaluable. There's a reason they got to supplement all their own.
And that's what I think too. But what else is on your list there?
For August, that's it on...
Oh, I thought there was more like blog post stuff, but there's not for that?
There is, but I don't have that because I was a derp. But those three things, the new system for three form, Thieving, Sorcery, and Kruak, the Therianodies, which are the sacrifice-based charms that can be used by anyone, which opens the door up to the other covenants, and the new occult antagonists promising everything from mortals to stranger things beyond vampires, it's exciting stuff. Blood Sorcery is probably one of the most exciting things to Vampire for me personally, because I went and looked into the Circle of the Crone clan book, and reading their chapter and their application of it was really fascinating, and that was really the right tone for Vampire for me. It's this dark, gritty sort of thing, but you can see at the same time why they would do it. So, it's bloody, it's gory, it's beautiful.
And hopefully it's everything people want. I like the toolbox aspect of the New World of Darkness, but a lot of people like the old way where they give you everything and you have to have the meta plot and all that other stuff. But I like the toolbox version.
The toolbox version gives you a lot of options. I can't argue against it, and I've loved it as they've expanded it more and more in these past few years. So, that's it for the August in regards to the New World, but there's a nifty little thing coming back for Old World of Darkness. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely, and I'll read it verbatim here. It's the V20 Book of Nod Restoration Edition. For the first time, the Book of Nod has been restored with new files that perfectly replicate the first edition, but cleaned up so that the text can all be read and many details of the art are finally able to be discerned. I didn't find the art that tough to discern in the original, but, I mean, I guess that's just me.
Hey, sharper quality is sharper quality. You gotta love it, no matter how you get it. So, one thing is, I remember reading about the Book of Nod, and it's been a while since I've read my copy of Vampire the Masquerade. Remind me again, what is the Book of Nod?
The Book of Nod is think of it like the Vampire Bible. It chronicles the beginning of how Cain got his powers and what he did, how Cain became a vampire and how he got his powers.
So it's where we get the origin story in regards to all of this, in regards to Masquerade.
Yeah, it's a little more detailed than that, and I mean, if you use the Book of Nod as a source book to pull story ideas out of, if your players aren't, even if they are aware of it, you can. A friend of mine even created an alternate line of vampires using Lilith as the originator in that one, just using the information from the Book of Nod, which I thought was a neat idea, and I did the same type of thing. But I mean, it's more. It's an in-character thing, is what it is.
Alright, so it's much like the clan books, or more appropriately, like the Rights of the Dragon or the Testament of Longinus in the New World of Darkness. It's a in-character source book that you can use both as a prop and for inspiration.
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. I gotta get me this.
I own the original, and it's on my shelf, and if I thought about it, I'd have grabbed it before we started, but I won't worry about it now. But it's a little bigger than a novel, like size-wise, but it's way thinner, and it's got just enough information in it. So I mean, it's good.
Well, I know V20 is not designed to necessarily be an introduction to the Old World of Darkness for new people like myself, but I find the fact that they're restoring this amazingly refreshing. I'm so glad they're doing this, because stuff like that is not only useful, I think, in my opinion, but it's fascinating, it's interesting. There's a lot of mileage I could get out of that. So, that said, how much did you use the Book of Nod, actually? You said you primarily ran Werewolf, but...
Well, once I got out of the Navy and started running Vampire, because I switched over, because I couldn't find anybody to play Werewolf, so then I had to go to the most popular line, which was Vampire. And I never actually got to use the Book of Nod. I set up... I'm your epic setup creator. I've got this huge backstory all the time, and there's thousands of years of stuff going on, and all you need to do is just get invested in it.
And no one ever goes digging into it.
That is correct, and people suck like that.
Sad.
Is sad. But
All right.
why don't we go to the next month, and I may or may not have... no, I don't. Yeah, it's in there. Oh, don't worry about it.
All right, September 2012. All right, I went long enough on Silent Knife and Blood Sorcery, so why don't you start off with the other V20 thing coming out on September?
This one says, Children of the Revolution. This book explores the lives of vampires created during or part of moments in history where revolution ran wild, woven through more secrets and hidden history of the already established background for VTM, or Vampire the Masquerade. So, if we think of revolutionary times, we're probably looking at the French Revolution, the American Revolution, and maybe even like a crossover from non-Christian Rome to Christian Rome type areas, possibly.
There could also be various other revolutions in regards to vampires being specific. I was also thinking, sounds like there'd be a character from the Industrial Revolution. But this is one I didn't do a lot of research into. I did for V20, the V20 Companion, but Children of the Revolution kind of lost me. I understand this is part of a larger series in the Vampire the Masquerade line. Like, there's been various Children of before this.
I'm not aware of any unless they came out well after I stopped collecting the original line, because as soon as I heard that there was a new World of Darkness, I stopped collecting the original line, because I was more interested in seeing things being developed and whatnot, and I'm noticing that a lot of people kind of wanted to hang on to the old stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say, doesn't that make you a blasphemer by old World of Darkness standards? I mean, that's bullcrap anyways, but...
Okay. Well, go ahead. Right. What do we got next here?
In September, back into my court, we have Mummy the Curse finally coming out. I have to say, you never think you'd get interested in mummies, but if you guys haven't seen what they're doing on their development blog for Mummy the Curse, go over there and read the entries. They've had two updates in the last 2 weeks that in particular really helped set the tone from all the other ones. The first one was talking about how, first of all, mummies may not be the only sort of immortals in the world, which is something they've asserted before, and we also know that they aren't because of various other books like New World of Darkness, Immortals. But more importantly on that first one was a design conceit of theirs, where they flat out say, you play the prince. You're looking at me, it's like, I'm not sure how to take that.
You physically play...
The prince.
The prince.
Yeah. For those of you who might be lost, the prince is basically the big bad... this is the big bad vampire of the city that has been established in Requiem and Masquerade. The prince is normally the biggest and baddest, most powerful and the most meanest, the biggest scheming SOB in any given city. They're saying you start off playing the prince.
And then you move into being a mummy or some sort of immortal like that?
Well, no. They're saying that playing a mummy, starting off as a mummy, is similar to that. You have that much power, you have that much resources available to you. You carry that much clout. And it's supported by the second blog entry of the sort of cults you can start off with, which is something very different. Normally you have to go and build up your allies and your contacts and such. Mummy, they're very much openly saying, you have a group of people who will more or less do things because you say, go do it. There are different kinds, and so there are different consequences. They talk about the more ancient, more religious type. They talk about the conspiracy types of, hey, maybe we have a cover of we're the CIA or something like that. And then you have your cult as a legitimate business. They talk about it in those sort of terms. But you start off with a group of people and resources that you can use. So when you play a mummy character, you start off in equivalent terms to the prince in Vampire.
Okay. So, to have your followers, for instance, let's pretend you are the Egyptian mummy, and your followers at this point, I'm guessing, although they probably haven't revealed it yet, might be all the people that get buried with you that get put in little jars and stuff when you die.
They haven't revealed anything like that, but the implication I'm getting is that the cult is actually predominantly mortal, and over the course of years while your character sleeps, this cult about you continues on. It continues to survive in some form or way, and it's still quite prominent to this day. And this is something very different from what we've seen in the World of Darkness before. When you play Vampire, you have to work your way up to a position of authority. Same with Werewolf, with Mage, with Changeling, with Geist. They've never flat out just give you that sort of power and that sort of influence right at the start, which is just one of the many ways that Mummy the Curse so far is showing to be deviating from what the World of Darkness has done previously.
Okay. And so that we don't linger too long on Mummy. And Mummy, at first, to me, sounded a lot like Promethean. I wasn't initially interested in Promethean. I may be more interested in Mummy, but since I have a problem finding players at the moment, I don't think I'm going to be branching out to game systems that I can't even play.
Well, that's fine, but there's not so far there doesn't seem to be that sort of comparison between Promethean and Mummy. Promethean is very much about isolation for stars, and here it's you wake up and you already have a cult around you, so they're very much at cross purposes, and I don't think you're going to find many of the same themes or issues between them. Mummy is very much its own beast, and it's dark. It's dark. It's almost as cosmically powerful and significant as Mage is in comparison. Like, they've only given us 2 bits of magic, and they're apparently low-level parts of it, but it just feels very mighty. And it's a really cool take. Like I said, I never thought I would be interested in mummies. This is doing it. This is taking the idea of these people and turning the knob up to 11.
Okay.
So that actually covers all the Mummy blog news I wanted to bring up anyway, so yay!
Okay, and what do we got? Well, there's the other Mummy release thing was...
Just in Mummy the Curse, apparently there's going to be a storyteller adventure story thing, whatever. I forget what SAS means.
Storytelling Adventure System.
That's the one. The Storytelling Adventure System. They have that as a separate release for Mummy the Curse. I'm assuming that becomes your demo. That allows you to go and take this out to people and be like, hey, you want to try this game out? Play this. It's available on Mummy the Curse, but they're also making it separate. So I think it's a trial thing.
I got the SAS a long time ago of, I want to say it's the Resurrectionists for Vampire, just to see what it was. And I went through it because I figured if these things become popular, I could probably make my own, which I've tried to, and so it's a lot more involved than I want it to be. But when I looked at it, it can be played without any source book. So I mean, this is a way that you could use to suck people in without having to create anything because it's a ready-made adventure.
That seems very different from the SASs that I've purchased. I have a few for Geist and a few for Changeling, and they do require you to have the book. If you try and play it off of these SASs, you'd get very confused. So this Mummy one is probably a return to that form, which I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate, because the main purpose of the SASs is to help get people interested. It's like if you need a quick thing to run for people, this is it. But on the subject of SASs, just real quick, this didn't make the list on what's being released, but the Falling Scales multi-part SAS is coming along. The hardcover proof is actually in the process of clearing the printer. And I had another part. I know I did. Give me a second. Falling Scales #2, part of that multi-part thing, is up for review. So that's coming along. We have a new essay. We have a new part in the Falling Scales FAS. Yeah, FAS, SAS coming along. I can't speak English.
That's fine.
I am very professional. I get my words right. Putting that aside. So, Falling Scales, as a side note, is a storytelling it's a story written by, I think it's actually written by Ian Watson. Or Matt McElroy, one, two. I think it's Ian Watson, though. And is the first, well, not the first, but it's the most recent big-scale chronicle sort of thing. And I think the entire point is the supernatural are starting to be revealed. I haven't looked into it myself yet, but it sounds promising, so go have a check out on that.
I'd like to run or I'd like to participate in an SAS in some way, shape, or form, whether that be storyteller or player. But since I can't find anybody to play with, can't do it yet. So, but rather than tangential again, here we go. Shame on us. But,
well, it was relevant. It's like how someone going to talk about this particular SAS.
Yeah.
But that said, hey, Falling Scales, it is multi-part chronicle. Maybe we could make that a side project. Putting that on the side.
Yeah.
That's tangential.
Not tangential. What's next up on the thing here?
Next up is October.
That's good, because normally that comes after September.
Alright, we've got two big ones. We've got Bates the Awakening's Left-Handed Path and Werewolf the Apocalypse 20th Anniversary Edition. Should I go first or should you?
I'll actually start, because having run Werewolf as much, well, I should hit myself here. Having run Werewolf as much as I have in the past and without books, I would be interested to see the changes. Just like for Vampire, the V20 was fairly change-worthy. There was enough changes in it to where you could run it without having to worry about the meta plot. So I would be wondering if they would have something like that for W20 or not, or if it's going to be even slightly different from that, depending on what the fans want. But me not being the biggest Werewolf fan in the world, I'm slightly more into Vampire, but even I would be interested in grabbing W20 because I loved the V20 and I will love M20 if they come out with a mage one too.
Oh, yeah, that's on the docket for next year.
Yay.
But once again, I know they're not deliberately designing the 20th anniversary editions for new players. It's very much a love letter to people who experienced it in the 90s and got to be involved with it. But for people like me, this is a great opportunity to come in on this project, this passion project, and get to experience the most of it. And one thing I want to say is I probably wouldn't have been interested in it had not been for the 20th anniversary and the Werewolf translation guide. So I'm absolutely stoked. It's like I get my opportunity. I get a chance to come in on this. And there's been a lot of wonderful work. You should see some of the artwork that's been done originally for this anniversary edition alone. I haven't followed all the blog entries on W20's website, but there's been a lot of nifty stuff going on with it.
Well, I've always loved the artists that they choose for White Wolf's the World of Darkness games. My favorite piece of art is still what came out. I believe it was the Vampire the Masquerade Player's Handbook. It's the one with the vampire lady in the leather jacket kneeling over a corpse, and that's my favorite piece of artwork. But I also love the little inside sketches for like the merits, for instance, for like fighting. The slightly stylized kung fu looking karate guys. Those are neat too. But I've always loved the White Wolf Publishing stuff. So I mean, I have high hopes for the art at least.
Yeah, I have high hopes for the entire thing, but in regards to the art particularly, it's gorgeously brutal. That's the best way I can put it. It is so brutal and vicious, some of these pieces. it communicates everything you need to know about werewolf very effectively, from what I understand of the backstory and everything. And so, again, if you aren't looking forward to the Werewolf 20th Anniversary Edition, I don't know what's wrong with you. I really don't.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to break your wallet, but
yeah,
you get it.
Well, I'll do like I did for V20, and I'll spring for the PDF because I have been trying to streamline everything, and rather than get more clutter, I'm going to go with the PDFs because I'm.
Oh, you didn't get the Loverbound tome?
No, when I told my wife how much it was, she's like, "No, that's not happening."
Joyce, I'll count that as being in college because I got it. I didn't get the GM version, but I have the Lover tome. I'm very glad I do. It is a gorgeous piece of work.
Yeah, I don't. I want one, but it's way past that. So, what else we got here now? Mage.
Yeah, we have Mage the Awakening, the Left-Handed Path, and once again, once you know it, I went and got information on it. I do stuff like that.
You had time.
Yeah.
We talked about that beforehand. So go ahead.
All right, Mage the Awakening, the Left-Handed Path. The legacy is disdained and feared by doctrinaire mages, heretics and apostates, the mad, the Celestii, and Reapers. Those who embrace madness, steal souls, worship the abyss. It's a whole new look at their antagonist side of Mage, which is they have separate books for Advancers for the Seers of the Throne. They have it for the Abyss, but they've never looked at these sort of legacies of the Celestii, the Mad, the Tremere, which they are going to be looking at. In fact, I have notes on this one, and Dave B., one of the writers on it, specifically says the Tremere chapter is going to knock everyone's socks off. So, nothing too big on that one. But, the two other things I have recorded on it is, this is not necessarily a legacy book. It's a character book, like the Order books, like Seers and Banishers, but it's a character book on the ideas of these left-handed mages, people who use magic in the wrong way, which makes it a much broader and much more interesting thing than if they just left it to the legacies. And the second thing is, I'm going to have to read this because I don't know what they mean by this. Remember the Mad? New Mage's version of Marauders? The thing that turned mages into when they... The thing that mages turn into when they reach Wisdom 0 from the core book? I did when pitch time came around earlier this year. So not a lot of information, but Dave B. is saying he gave that particular attention. So this is not a lot of actual detail, but he drops enough little tidbits to get you excited. So you can't go wrong with mages doing what mages aren't supposed to be doing, as far as I'm concerned. I was kind of wondering what they would have follow up Imperial Mysteries, because that was such a phenomenally big thing, actually. This is a good follow-up, in my opinion.
It's because someone related the mage thing to me as being like the Matrix, kind of, so that's why I'm interested in it. But the more I learn about mage, the more it sounds less like the Matrix, but the more it still interests me, if that makes sense. So hearing about things like this, I want the game system to be as fleshed out as Vampire is, because they always put so much effort into Vampire, at least they did into Masquerade, but they didn't put nearly as much into Apocalypse or Ascension or anything like that. And it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping, this is a bit of a weird comparison, but I'm hoping they make it, I'm hoping that they treat all of their game lines kind of like Werewolf the Forsaken got treated. Because Werewolf the Forsaken's problem right now is because of how tight and how much they were able to get on the supplements they have. It's kind of left people wondering what can they explore. They've handled it so much so well. We're still getting Werewolf the Forsaken products. We've in fact been told that if two other products on this list that we haven't gone to yet do well, they're going to do another Chronicle book for Werewolf in that same vein. But, so, I think the left-handed Path book is going to be another great addition that helps fulfill that same sort of thing as Forsaken. It's going to be one of those things that we've been kind of left out of for a while, and it's going to be a great look. Dave B's done great work before, and I'm sure everyone else working with him has done similar stuff, and this is going to be cool. This is going to be so cool.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Moving along.
Yeah.
So we keep going. There is an SAS coming out with the W20. It's called the Skinner. Not going too much into it. It's going to feature Samuel Haight, or Sam Haight as they're calling him here. And basically he was the big bad from the Apocalypse. I never used him a whole lot because knowing the players that I had running, he would have been dead in minutes. But he apparently is pretty awesome. But there's that SAS coming out also in October.
The first thing I heard about Samuel Haight is very, very simple. Samuel Haight must die. Of course, I think that's because he was the only vampire werewolf mage thing. But yeah, that said, a story continuing on one of the most notorious figures of White Wolf history. I'm all for that.
Yeah. And in November, moving on, there's I'll go with the convention book, starting out with Mage the Ascension convention book, New World Order. As promised, this book is one of those in the convention book series that wasn't finished when the classic World of Darkness ended, and which has been clamored for ever since. I don't know what the New World Order is in particular, especially in the original World of Darkness, so I'm not exactly sure what this is going to be about, but if people want it, then it's probably got some extremely interesting information in it.
Yeah. What are the convention books in general? Because, as you said, this was actually something promised back in the old World of Darkness when it was coming out in the 90s and never actually came up. Once again, it sounds like it was part of a series of books, like Children of the Revolution was. So, do you know anything about that?
No. My entire exposure to Mage the Ascension was the 2 sessions. One of the players in the Navy ran. He was the GM for it, and it ended up being, like I said, 2 sessions, and he didn't do a very good job, and we stopped playing it, mainly because he lost interest in running it.
Alright. Well, you have another... I don't know what more to say on that one, because I have not personally experienced... I've never even heard of this sort of thing before.
2 of us walking around in the dark isn't going to do anybody any good, so let's move on.
Oh! Alright, well, you have another thing, actually. Another long-promoted thing as soon as Vampire 20th came out, so why don't you cover that real quick?
The Hunters Hunted 2, one of the seminal classic World of Darkness books, revised and updated for V20, featuring a look at the organizations around the world who hunt, study, hide the truth about the Kindred. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, because I never read the original Hunters Hunted, but this is about the Society of the Leopold and the Inquisition, the hidden people that pay attention to what's going on in the vampire world, but keep it hidden also because there would be riots and crazy stuff going on if they got found out.
Something, I don't know how many people out there have seen the Highlander series, the TV series, but it sounds very much like the Watchers from that, the people who recorded what was going on between the Immortals and worked on keeping it strictly to the Immortals, letting them play out their game in peace. So it sounds very much like that. It's familiar ground, but you know White Wolf, they're not going to keep it simple.
No, they're not. And I know the Society of the Leopold, for instance, while they did keep a recorded history of the vampires, they also got involved once in a while, which I don't think they were supposed to. But, just to make sure things didn't get out of hand, I guess.
Well, how long can you sit on the sidelines just watching before you say, okay, you guys are screwing up, we're stepping in? It's what humans do. It's kind of our lot in life.
Yeah, and I can honestly say I don't think the True Blood situation where if vampires came out, I don't think it would happen like that. I don't think there would be equality. There would be people trying to take out vampires.
No, if vampires really honestly came out, it would be worldwide civil war. Every organization turned immediately against itself. And I'm not saying that necessarily because I'm not saying that it would necessarily always be antagonistic between vampires and humans per se, but there's a lot of different perspectives of how that relationship should go, and you're going to have these sets of vampires and these sets of vampires and humans and these sets of humans, and it's going to be worldwide chaos. So I could see why they would have in this Hunter's Hunted book a focus on these mortal organizations that, in their own sort of way, both support the Kindred and at the same time oppose them. So,
yeah. Enough on that, though. What else we got on the list there?
As an immediate follow-up, well, not immediate because it came out in September, but as a follow-up to Mummy the Curse, we have Guild Halls of the Deathless, which, by the way, spoiler, we now know the Y-splat for mummies. It's their guild. What was said about that? According to the information, it says this book delves deeper into the factions within the mummies, the guilds, with new merits and powers and detailed background information. Also offers the first chapter of a 3-part adventure designed to lead from supplement to supplement in the 3-part story arc. So, and it's a decent-sized supplement, 160 pages. We haven't gone to guilds as far as the blogs go yet, and we don't know what sort of merits, and we've only gotten a glimpse of their powers. But this sounds like a really good start. This seems like it's going to flesh out a lot of various things that people are going to be immediately interested in regards to Mummy the Curse. So, once again, the more I find out about Mummy, the more I'm like, must get.
If I had players to play with, I would be more interested too, in getting involved in it. But before you go on, I just did a quick look at the rest of the list we have here. If we go in depth like we are, we'll get done sometime around 2 in the morning. So,
well, it's not like I can go on much more. Although, actually, I lied. There's the God Machine still coming up.
Well,
I'll keep everything else short, and my only real sports thing will be on the God Machine.
Yeah, and then we can. I mean, just quick. Well, yeah. We'll get to that point, and then we'll move a little bit faster after that.
All right. So, let me apologize. Just sweet. There's a lot of stuff that we don't understand, but it sounds exciting. So that actually covers November, right?
Yes. Now we're in December.
Yeah. So as a prelude to that God Machine thing, they're doing the God Machine Chronicle Fiction Anthology, which means they're kicking out the story of the God Machine, probably the most notorious story from the New World of Darkness ever since its inception. One of the most popular, certainly, and like I said, probably the most notorious. So, it's going to be neat to see all these stories compilated together. I think there's going to be even new ones because this is 300 plus pages. The various references to the God Machine throughout have not come out to that number before, so they're clearly adding stuff.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the God Machine story?
I am not. So, well, I'm vaguely familiar with it, but go ahead and get in depth so that we can, or more in depth, so that I will have a better understanding.
All right. In the first chapter of the World of Darkness core book, they have a series of stories to help you get an understanding of what the World of Darkness is like, and they talk about shadow history, and they go into this section with a character named Marco Singe, the Prophet of Pain. And he begins sharing the story that was revealed to him by this eldritch angel about how the world began, starting with this God Machine that created his angels, created demons, created mankind. And it's basically just a story about how man fell from the God Machine's grace and how its angels have come on to be these kind of retributive entities in regards towards humanity. There's too much to go into in regards to this, but it's right there in the first chapter. It's one of the most engaging stories that they have in the World of Darkness, and there's a lot of nifty little mystery you can do with that, particularly in regards to the 8 angels that they have. They've detailed them. For example, one of the angels was named Strife and caused actually, that's a little. We're getting a little too far into it.
Yeah.
But I don't. It's been a while since I've read it, but it is the premier one, but it's not just the fact that you have this opening story. It's the fact that it's cropped up in Promethean, in Mage the Awakening, in Vampire the Requiem. Hasn't shown up in Changeling yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they tried at some point. There's been little tidbits here and there, and there's even implications that the God Machine goes as far as to be in the Exalted universe, and possibly even the old World of Darkness through a vague reference in Mage the Ascension. So, while the opening story is very worth reading, it's the fact that it's managed to get everywhere that has everyone's attention. And, of course, there's other stuff later on that we'll touch on. But for now, it's just the fact that they're putting together this fiction anthology about the God Machine. They're finally going into this big mystery that they've been building up for years.
And along with that, we can note in, February, that they've got Vampire the Requiem Strix fiction anthology to go along with that chronicle book type thing that they're going to go on with in the future there too. But not going into that, and I know we were going to talk about the Strix, but
I shut the door.
We've got also in December is the W20 Book of Changing Breeds, which I'm assuming is like the Werecats, Alligators, things like that.
Yeah, it gives us our variety, which is again great for us because I understand the New World of Darkness version of Changing Breeds sucks. I don't know personally, but I've heard that. I've heard much better things about the old World of Darkness Changing Breeds. So, once again, it's great to get that into my hands when I missed the original opportunity.
Yeah, it's also, I'm a big fan of Werecats because I like cats, but I'm looking forward to that because the Changing Breed book doesn't really give me what I'm looking for. Also in December, we've got V20 Anarchs Unbound, which is a revisitation of the old Anarch cookbook. I'm not big on the Anarch, so I guess I don't have much to say about it, but it's popular.
Hey, Giovanni are my favorite. If you're telling me the Giovanni are going to be doing necromantic Anarchs cookbooks, I'm all for that. I'm interested in how they're going to do that. Also, for the not World of Darkness fans, Exalted 3rd Edition is coming out. I've understood that this is long overdue.
It's hopefully... Hey, I got the window switch into work again.
Oh, hey, yay!
But
how long have they been staring at my ugly mug alone?
Well, yeah, and this keeps me from having to pay attention and click back and forth now. But all of the White Wolf game lines, the Mage, the Vampire, all of them, from the original line seem to... The first edition was always really rough. The second one kind of smoothed it out, and everybody really liked it. But everybody was always waiting for the final edition. And the third edition of Vampire, for instance, is by far the best of the three. And V20, I would consider the fourth version of it is even better than the third. But so it looks like it takes about 3 for White Wolf to get things smoothed out to where everybody likes it.
Yeah. So... Exalted, again, is one of those games I just haven't really gone into. So, again, perfect opportunity for me to come in. I understood the Exalted forums exploded as soon as this happened. I don't know for sure. Those forums kind of scare me.
I love Kung Fu, and it's all about big Kung Fu action, and I am very interested in Exalted.
You can't go wrong with Kung Fu dinosaurs and no time travel.
That's right. Never.
Alright, so, that's exciting. January 2013, the new year, starting off with Mummy the Cursed, Book of the Deceived. talks about the 6 Lost Guild, once again, stuff we don't understand, are the dark reflections of the cursed. Here's where we explore their true history and beliefs and provide all the information necessary for them to be played as characters. Also provides the second chapter in that story arc we talked about earlier. So once again, this goes into stuff we haven't really heard about. When they say true history, I hope they're lying. I really do. I much prefer when they provide alternatives. But the fact that they're providing an alternative character type to Mummy so quickly is rather gratifying. So, looking forward to that.
I take true history in the same sense that they use the clan books in, for instance. All of the clan books in Vampire were supposed to be truth from the perspective of that particular clan, but there's conflicting information in the clan books themselves. So, I mean, I would guess it's going to be a matter of perspective.
I hope so. I really do. The few times they've come out and said, this is true, I'm looking at you, Vampires in Task Force Valkyrie, it's always been a little bit, So, if it's perspective, great. I love it. If not, I'll still buy it. I'm still looking forward to it just simply because they do offer that alternate character ideas so quick. But that's all there is for January. So you want to talk about February, what we've got with Werewolf 20?
Okay, well, and I had mentioned the Strix Chronicle Fiction Anthology briefly. There's Rage Across the World for W20. I did not get a chance to get the original Rage Across the World, but it should be a travelogue, like a setting book for the entire world to run Werewolf the Apocalypse in, which I'm hoping is what it is, because, I mean, they really need something like that.
So what, like the Ragnarok World Tour 2012?
Possibly. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what's in the original, but I'm hoping it's epic.
It should be. They really do try and knock our socks off with these 20th anniversary things. So I have nothing short of high expectations. And we've brought it up twice now. The Strix Chronicle Fiction Anthology. Like I said, Vampire is not my strongest one, but these owl spirits that harass vampires, I'm growing an interest in them. I want to kind of find out what their story is. So, the Fiction Anthology, great opportunity.
The Strix
I keep saying that.
From the Requiem for Rome, so if you want to target something, that's where you would look at it. That's got the most Strix information.
Alright, I'm going to have to get me a copy of that then. But I'm probably pissing off every vampire player out there. It's like, you don't know about the Strix! Kill you!
It's alright. It's all good. We also got Arms of the Chosen for Exalted, Tome of Artifact Weapons and Armor for Exalted. I can only imagine that is epic, and I would love to see it.
Well, if the success of Armory in the World of Darkness is any indication, I'm pretty sure every player out there likes stuff.
Yeah. Any swag to play with.
Swag is always good.
Yeah.
Alright, and that brings us on to March. And so we'll start off with the fact that before we had the Fiction Anthology for the God Machine, now they have a chronicle based on it, but it's more than that, it's a rules update. The God Machine Chronicle is going to have updated rules for the entire World of Darkness, so that alone makes it worthwhile. And that they're doing a full-on story you can tell with the God Machine. Again, more exploration of this epic myth, but it's also important for a later product that we will get to. I wish we had more time to talk or theorize about it. We'll probably actually make that next week's thing.
Yeah,
at 264 pages dedicated to just this chronicle, you can expect it to be epic. They've been building this up for a while.
With any luck. We've also got another Mage the Ascension Convention book for the Progenitors. Like the other book, it's going to specifically deal with that particular convention.
We're so lost. Once again, the Mage the Ascension fans are like, you don't know about that? Kill you!
Yeah, it happens. But in April 2013, more Mummy the Curse.
Sophis Ascends.
Okay, hopefully you're as excited about that as the rest of it.
I'm more excited because this, one of the big things that's been coming out in the past couple of years has been alternative settings for the World of Darkness. They've done Requiem for Rome for Vampire, but they also have New Wave Requiem for the 80s. They have the Victorian Lost for Changeling. They have Mage Noir. Sophis Ascends looks at the entire ebb and flow of mummies' lives. And so not only are you looking at that from an empirical, objective standpoint, but you're gaining many historical settings to play with alongside these artifacts, powers, and antagonists for all of them. And it more or less finishes up that story they've been telling this entire time. So, unlike other games where they talk about a mythic history but let you find out about it later, here they're letting you find out very early what that flow of history for mummies has been and to experience it. So that's actually probably the most exciting out of the 3 supplements for Mummy the Curse for me. I really wish it wasn't in April. I would like to get this thing much earlier, but who am I to judge? I did not make that call.
Right. And also there's the V20 Rites of Blood. Simplest explanation of this is it's just a bunch of rites for blood magic for V20.
Hey, you can't go wrong with blood magic. You cannot go wrong with blood magic.
No.
It's just, that story writes itself. Also, we have Exalted the Realm. I don't have any details on this.
And I don't know what the realm is either, other than what's explained on the blog. So, if you want to know, look at the blog.
Exalted fans are once again killing us.
Well, we're getting late enough into this list to where things aren't necessarily set in stone either.
True that.
We also have, in May, we have the Awakening to Ascension Mage Translation Guide.
That was supposed to come out this year, and I'm kind of sad that they put it off. But if it's anything like the last 2 translation guides for Masquerade to Requiem and Apocalypse to Forsaken, this is going to be, once again, a great introduction. This is going to get people's interests who don't know the old World of Darkness very wedded. It's going to grab our interest. And I imagine people who have been wanting to start doing those tie-ins have been looking forward to this. I've never regretted any of the translation guides so far, and I don't imagine this one's going to disappoint.
Yeah, I've only read the Vampire one, and it helps you get from one system to the other. Really, it's that simple.
I've always kind of thought of it as the neat bridge between the old world fans and new world fans. You can literally take what you like from both and make what you want from it. So, because certainly I've done that with not knowing the context of Apocalypse, I've adjusted Forsaken a lot according to what the translation guide has on at least 4 counts. Forsaken plays very differently because I'm taking that nod from Apocalypse. So, translation guides are always great. We've also got Book of the Worm.
Worm, the ultimate evil in Apocalypse. That's all you need to know. Yeah, Pentex, the company of it.
That's a horrible joke.
Game Factory. In June, we have the Strix Chronicle book relating to the anthology fiction. We also have another Mage the Ascension Convention book, The Syndicate, and another Exalted, Dragon-Blooded, What
Fire Has Wrought.
Which, let's see here, is apparently the indicator of a new novel feel of Exalted, which, and not having played the game, I don't know how it feels already, so that's just me. We're getting close to the end here.
Yeah, coming up on there are 3 things on this list that specifically excite me. One has been Mummy the Curse, one has been The God Machine. So in July, we get the Demon Translation Guide, coming out about 50 pages. And this is unusual. You figured they'd go down the line of they do Changeling or Wraith or all this other stuff first. No, they're going straight to the Demon Translation Guide. And there's a reason for that in August. It's basically is going to serve as a preview for the next game line. But we'll let you talk about Void Engineers as much as you're able, and then I will geek out over August.
Okay. Well, the other convention book that they have listed here is the Void Engineers. Another convention to me. And then the last thing that I have to talk about in August would be the Blood Diaries of the Clans. And it seems to be just a mini collection of clan books with each clan subsection arranged in the same format is what it says. So hopefully there's enough information to make it worthy of making an actual physical book of it.
Yep. Certainly those of us, again, new to it, Blood Diaries of the Clan, if it is that many clan books, I understand that in the Old World of Darkness, each clan got a full, 120-page spread or something like that.
They were larger.
They got larger. This is going to be much more convenient. I don't know what good it's going to do for newer players, older players. But I'm sure they'll have something that'll provide much-needed perspective after 20 years. And then finally, we have Demon D ? Now, this is the ultimate culmination of that bit about the God Machine, because they like I said, in the God Machine story, they talk about the development of... It cut me off. Anyways. They talk about how the God Machine developed the angels, and the angels made the demons. They're still drawing on Judeo-Christian and Lovecraftian horror for this, but they're also tying it very strongly into this God Machine mythos, which means we should be getting probably the most unique take on Demon after the very many takes on it, from Hunter to Inferno. This is going to be something different. This is going to be something cool. It's going to be something exciting. And if nothing else, it's another game line for something we never thought we would really see in the World of Darkness. I seriously never thought they would come back and do Demon again. And the fact that they're doing this with the God Machine spin is just thrilling. I wish there was more information, but it's a year away.
And I'm thinking that whatever the question marks are going to stand for is going to have something to do with the God Machine Chronicle part, or the fiction part, so we'll actually find out what the subtitle will be due to whatever information is collected there.
Yeah. The best guess on that one I've heard so far is Demon the Children, because they are children of the God Machine in their own way. So I think out of all the names I've heard, I would be okay with that one. Certainly beats Demon the Chihuahua.
The Chihuahua.
God bless Foramites, what will they say?
Yeah. Well, we are, if I'm correct in when we started recording, we are over an hour at this point, and thank God we did decide not to do anything else other than this list.
I actually had other information from the blogs, but it's just basically the V20 Companion is on its way to the shipper. Werewolf 20 is rolling along. Exalted Shards is still doing well. And Children of the Revolution nearly has all of its art in. So, oh yeah, and Mummy's text is being laid out. So, quick little details there.
Well, if we keep with our schedule, the next time we'll record would be August 11th. However, I will not be able to record on that day. Do you want to push it back another week, or do you want to do something without me?
I think we could try doing something without you. We can probably try and bring in fans on this one, possibly get Matt McElroy. I do not have anything established yet.
Okay.
But I will think of something.
And I can participate via chat maybe, but there's definitely no way I'm going to be able to be video.
Yeah, you're busy. We will let you know on White Wolf forums if for some reason we are not able to update on that week. But that said, our goal is to still have a show for that week.
And you will all be happy to know that if you would like to email us, I have gotten echoesdarkly@gmail.com. And yeah, and I may even associate this broadcast with it, so it's not just me and Sean separately, that we have an actual, on my private YouTube channel, maybe we can get a more public Echoes Darkly type thing going on with that too. But you can send email to that. It comes to my phone, so I get it right away, and I'll respond to it as soon as I get it. So feel free to email in whatever you'd like, any comments, feedback, questions, whatever.
Yes, we could use feedback. The more information we have on making this show awesome, the more we can do. So send us emails as soon as possible. We know you're listening.
And for those listening to the audio, which will be post-production stuff, we have had viewers in and out this entire show. We haven't had anything the last, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. But we had people in early with that, and I don't know who it is. I can't see, but hopefully they enjoyed it, and we'll come back next time.
Yeah. Obviously, we're still got a lot of things we got to improve on. If nothing else, our showmanship. We could be funnier. But that said,
we had a lot to cover, so we were under pressure.
Yeah. But all that said and done, this is, as far as the New World of Darkness goes, going to be a very revolutionary year, because they're addressing many of the oldest mysteries that have been brought up in the World of Darkness in general, and there's going to be a lot of cool stuff alongside that aspect of it. So keep your eyes open, keep your wallets full. That way, White Wolf can take your money.
And I'm more than willing to give them money because they're awesome.
Yep. And, of course, the old World of Darkness is continuing to rise. So those people who all died back in 2004, nanner.
Well, hopefully they can do two lines at the same time. It'll be confusing to people coming in for the first time, but I'd rather have them be confused and interested than have only one option.
Oh, yeah. So hopefully hopefully as they continue doing this, there will be less of the backbiting between the two world editions. Is my main hope. I doubt it, but at least they're continuing to get their wishes fulfilled. So again, a lot of great stuff. Keep your eyes open. So, anything else?
No, I don't think so. This should end the podcast and broadcast part. Whenever I end the broadcast, Sean and I will continue talking about it to make sure we know what we're doing for next time and what we need for all. So that's it for me. So I just want to say that this is DJ echoing out.
This is John Steele, echoing out.